Probably one of the closest contested Saturdays we've had in 2022 is right here at the Chicago Open on Oak Street Beach. Stadium Court has one match left, and we have had three phenomenal battles up into this point in the quarterfinals. Both the women's and the men's have come and shown up big time. And welcome inside the booth, everybody. I'm Cameron Irwin alongside Rich Lamborn. And Rich, we're going to close out the evening with the guys. They're the last ones left. We've got Miles Partain with his partner, Paul Lotman, plus Tri and Trevor, right? We've got Tri Bourne, Trevor Crabb. What can we expect from these two teams?
Well, Tri and Trevor on a heater. You know, Trevor's kind of given us the nod, not the full guarantee, but the nod that we should expect good things from them. So I certainly expect to see that. And Paul and Miles just keep getting better and better. They got that win in Atlanta, and they just seem to improve every weekend. Well,
and I'm glad that you mentioned Manhattan Beach, as Tri and Trevor did pick up back-to-back titles there at the granddaddy of them all. Here is how the bracket has shaped up to this point. This is the winner's side. Taylor Crabb, Taylor Sander, your guys just barely escaping Brewster and Friend. That was another three-set battle here on Stadium Court just in the last few hours. We have third member of our crew down on the sand, Mark Sherman. He's bringing all the energy to close out our day on Saturday. Take it away, Mark.
One match to go. Chicago, are you ready? Are you ready? Just got to make sure, are you ready? All right, let's do it. Let's bring him out. First guy out of UCLA in Pacific Palisades. He is the kid that does a lot of really fun things on the volleyball court. If you haven't seen him, you're about to see him, and you're going to love him. Give it up for Miles Partain. And his partner played in the Olympic Games for Team USA out of Long Beach State University. Let me hear it for Paul Lotman. Oh, and their opponents, man, they just got this connection, don't they? They have this Hawaiian Brada connection, and they are so much fun to watch out there together. This first guy from Honolulu, Hawaii, also out of Long Beach State, it's Trevor Crabb. And his partner out of Honolulu, Hawaii, obviously, out of the University of Southern California, had some ups and downs in his career, and it is just going up from here, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for Mr. Tri Bourne.
Two Olympians down on the sand, and potentially two future Olympians also down on the sand. Tri Bourne making the trip, filling in for his friend Taylor Crabb alongside Jake Gibb back in Tokyo. On the other side, it's Paul Lotman, the indoor Olympian back in 2012, playing alongside the kid. That's Miles Partain, just 20 years old. But hey, he's got an AVP title. This is the men's quarterfinal of the Chicago Open. And a little taste of their own medicine to start. Tri Bourne with the option.
Yeah, well said. We know we're going to see a lot of that out of Miles Partain and Paul Lotman. But Tri and Trevor, no slouch in the option department either.
Cameron Irwin alongside Rich Lamborn. Full day of volleyball here at Oak Street Beach. They go with Miles Partain, the lefty. Just finished up the sophomore year at UCLA. He's a National Player of the Year as a setter. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild when you see him take a swing like that. He's got tremendous left arm, and to think he's a setter indoor.
Tri Bourne's favorite shot. I always say it's his favorite shot. I actually haven't asked him that. I probably should. But I always say that because he goes to it so often, the crossbody down the line.
Well, he kind of has a little bit of that Karchi approach where he can cut you up with the sharp angle to open up that crossbody swing.
Tri Bourne out of Honolulu, Hawaii. Jump set, and it's clean. What a play from Trevor. Asking about that set, but
Just trying to plant seeds because that looked totally fine, right?
Yeah, it did.
Really good set from Paul as we get another look.
I think we're just surprised because we're so used to seeing that from Miles Partain. I saw Lotman actually working on that in their warm-ups. Going, that's a new wrinkle.
It is a new wrinkle that because I don't think that that's necessarily Paul's strong suit. Certainly not yet, anyways. Like you said, Miles a lot more comfortable doing that.
Miles Partain will come out, decide whether he's going to jump set the ball and in the air he's going to jump set the ball or work with the option. So now you have to decide, do you serve him or do you serve his partner and have to deal with the option.
It's kind of interesting as the days gone on. We've had some pretty stifling heat, very little, if any, wind, right? But now we've got not heavy wind, I wouldn't say, but quite a breeze, and it's going the opposite direction than it was going earlier, right?
That is accurate. It has come and gone throughout the afternoon, and the heat has definitely gone. The breeze picking up substantially. Wind now in the face of Lotman and Partain. That's the difference. From earlier, there's a look at your flags on stadium court. As you see Tri and Trevor and their results this season, they've had a phenomenal season. They won in Fort Lauderdale, where the guarantee was on. Then they took a 9th in Atlanta, then won the Granddaddy, the Manhattan Beach Open in back-to-back years. And for Trevor, it's actually 3 straight Manhattan Beach championships. First coming alongside Reed Pretty, who played alongside David Lee in this tournament. What a dig! Tri Bourne. Nearly over, but not quite. Oh, my!
That was tremendous composure from Miles, though. Just an unbelievable dig from Tri. We saw that barely cleared the net, and Miles just patiently saw that it was coming to his side, waited for it, and then detonated.
And he only used his last 2 steps, too. He didn't have much of an approach there.
Not at all.
Wow, way to bring that one back in. He is the future of volleyball for that exact reason. The defense to offense, the lefty swing, fearless.
Yeah, just a great one-handed spear. That luckily that's his strong hand, but in any case, perfectly controlled. And then the good aggressive swing in transition for the point.
Lotman and Partain have been spending their time down in San Diego, where Lotman resides. Partain have been doing an internship down in San Diego, so they've been training. Another, that's his offhand, his right hand coming up. Blocked by Lotman. Frog dig. And again, Lotman and Partain are showing up, staying aggressive in those transition plays.
Yeah, they really are. You could see the Paul call the 4 in transition against Tri here. Let's see if we get a look. This will just be the one to finish it. But Miles did a nice job of kind of playing center field, waiting till the last minute to run down that line shot.
I like that reference, center field. It's a very good description. So many times people have described the style and approach of Miles Partain, how he holds himself out on the court so businesslike. And you think back to that ball, he kind of just clobbered the chest to Tri Bourne, and he immediately just turned around. There wasn't a celebration, just turned and went back to business.
Yeah. To the average fan, that looks visually impressive, but it happens so frequently, particularly in the men's game, that you take it off the chest, that it's,
yeah,
you know, Tri's not worried about it. Miles doesn't think much of it, as you mentioned. It's just another point.
Tight ball. That was close. I know, I'm gasping. I just saw a bad collision coming.
Yeah.
That's like what volleyball players' worst fears are. The landing of feet underneath the net.
Yeah, feet and clanking knees and all that.
That didn't make you do anything? That didn't make you nervous?
No, I barely unclinched from our match earlier with the Taylors.
Sun nearly starting to go down here in Chicago. 8-6 as you look at Paul Lotman and Miles Partain Pro Series results this season. They won Atlanta, both of their first titles in their careers. 5th in Manhattan. 3rd or better here in Chicago clinches a spot into the championships. Big block. Lotman, 6'7" and climbing.
Yeah, that's a part of his game he's really improved as well. You know, been out here quite a few years, but hasn't been the imposing blocker that he is this year. And so a lot of their success is predicated upon his improvement on that skill.
Yeah, without a doubt. You're absolutely right. Seems like he's actually becoming a little bit more physical too in terms of getting up and the height at which he's now touching.
Yeah, he's similar to Phil. I talked about this in Phil's earlier match, that the longer he's out here, the more shredded he gets. I don't really understand how that's possible, but Paul's certainly in that category, taking tremendous care of himself.
Mike Playcheck, former pro beach volleyball player, coaching down in San Diego as well, works with these two.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. Works at Wave Beach, which is in Encinitas, just by the Del Mar racetrack there. And
you guys were just down there, right?
They had us down for a little exhibition match with Miles and Paul, and it's a wonderful facility. It's the first time I've seen their sand facility. It's gorgeous, and certainly our thanks go out to them for hosting us last weekend.
By your guys, of course, he means Taylor Crabb and Taylor Sander, who he coaches. Try Bourne, closing down the line. Trevor was also there.
And we talked about Paul's improvement. One of the best in the game worldwide, in my opinion, Try Bourne at that skill right there. Just so disciplined with his hands. Not tremendously high over the net on that particular play, but into airspace and really, like I said, disciplined with those hands.
Wow. What a set from Try Bourne. I think that got on him a lot quicker than he expected.
Yeah. To me, that's one of the best things that this team of Crabb and Bourne do, is set one another in transition. They both break out the hands in any and every situation, and it allows them to take difficult situations and make them into point-scoring opportunities.
Oh, that's out of here.
Almost completely out of your seat, Cam, on that one.
I like volleyball, what can I say? Yeah. And I like when people do things like this.
Crunching it into the cross court. Remember, that's a setter. That is a setter.
I think that's maybe why, you know, as a fellow former setter, you got to think like, you know, you always think you can hit the ball hard.
Did you have that angle swing?
Clearly.
Of course, of course.
Agree with the help of a few ladders and chairs.
Paul just missing there.
11-10 now into the technical timeout, and the breeze, wow, it is really picking up now. So you could look at your Atlanta champs, Miles Partain, 627 in terms of efficiency in matches this weekend. He is currently leading the tournament. And I will say, yes, typically you see very impressive play from Miles, but specifically already in this match, I feel like he's unloading on the ball a little bit more.
Yeah, he does seem to be taking a more aggressive tact here, right? Which is, I think, a smart thing, because we talked about the blocking of Try Bourne. Also, Trevor Crabb, they're splitting time. Trevor, a very proficient blocker in his own right. And you've got to stay aggressive against good blockers, especially disciplined ones, the likes of Bourne and Crabb.
Well, and to just then up the ante, now look at, he's got 875 in this match, 7 of 8 plus the 3 additional digs, and we're only 21 points into this thing.
Might have to switch him to opposite next season.
I don't know. Can he win another National Player of the Year in another position?
That would be impressive.
I made the argument, what if the indoor national team wants him and he could qualify for the Olympics in beach? What do you do? I'm just saying, there's a what if there. I'm not saying it's, you know, There's a chance.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
You know, obviously, Paul Lotman not playing internationally, so I'm not saying obviously that would happen alongside him, but there is a shot. Maybe he picks up an Andy Bennett, start traveling internationally.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that progresses, because we talk a lot about the qualification window opening
soon,
early next year, and so that decision's going to have to be made, and it's hard to imagine them going away from the tremendous amount of success they've had together, right, Paul and Miles. But if Miles has Olympic aspirations, which we know he does, ultimately that decision's going to have to be made at some point.
So maybe indoor in 24, beach in 28. That's a good touch from Crabb. A lot of Olympic hopefuls out on the sand as that ball's missed. We're going to have a lot of American teams jockeying for those 2 positions into 2024. From Try and Trevor out there. Crabb, Sander, Kame, Theo. Am I missing some?
Well, yeah, I mean, we have quite a few teams jogging. Those are kind of our front runners, though, for sure.
And we're tied at 12.
12 apiece now.
Well maneuvered that time from Try. That's one of those hiccups in the rules where you can just grab it and throw it a different direction as the blocker.
Well, and it didn't used to be that way. That changed in the last few years.
Yeah, they've allowed that for some reason. Oh, all right.
That one's going to get called 13-12.
I don't think I disagree with the call ultimately there, Cam, but the timing of it, I'm not a huge fan of.
Because it was late?
It was late. It came after the chorus of O's from the side of Bourne and Crabb, and so it seems reactive on the part of the up rep. You want that whistle to come quick.
Seemed pretty quick. I mean, hard to tell in slow-mo.
There was a little bit of side rotation,
yes,
right, which is kind of the giveaway. But again, if it's a double, make that call quickly and decisively.
Paul Lotman just bodied up Try Bourne. So don't even think about it.
That was like, you know, when you go to the dog park and your dogs sprint at each other until they're like nose to nose, and then they just go, and then they just start sniffing.
That's a great reference. Paul Lotman. Oh, and Trevor getting up and showing a little bit of strength.
Yeah.
Known to be a shooter out here on the beach, typically making great shots come to life, executing on such a high level. This Trevor Crabb, 32 years old, also out of Honolulu. He's a basketball player as well as volleyball player, growing up playing on the baby court alongside that guy. And your guy.
My guy.
Good pole dig right there. Trevor.
15-13, what a side coming out of the
These two love to play heated, and right now they're trying to find that edge.
And nobody better than these two at those
Off
sort
plays.
of quote-unquote beach type of plays, right? Where you're backpedaling, you've got to make this overhand kind of awkward dig, and they do so well and so frequently. It's just so frustrating to be their opponents.
Try and Trevor, the only two-time winner in 2022. So rare that you hear Miles Partain argue for a call. He's saying the line bounced.
I'm not 100% positive, but they may have Miles designated as the... That was tough to see, right?
Yeah, and it might have bounced off the splashback.
Yeah. Do you think it got it?
It's tough to tell from that angle.
Let's take a timeout. How about this one? Bourne and Crabb.
So 13-16. Lotman Partain take a timeout after that call. There have been a few that have gone
See if we get it here.
to a bit of conversation. Here's another look. Slowing it down. Ooh. Oh, that is as close as it gets.
Yeah, awfully close. It's always hard to tell if it catches some tape on the way by. I think the ball mark is out there. So if you don't see the line move as the referee, it's going to be difficult to make that call. Trevor, in the midst of that play, never wanted to keep his commentary to himself. Thought Lotman's set going into that was worse than the one that got called. And he may have had a point.
The keyboard assassin, Trevor Crabb.
Yeah, he's the real life version, though, which you got to respect on a certain level.
Yeah, without a doubt.
But yeah, to your point, he does hit you with it on social media and the like as well, too. So,
I actually love it, too,
here.
yeah. I think he's great. He wears the black hat and wears it proudly.
Right.
13-6 back out. Got to find a little something after a few errors. Start to mount for Lotman and Partain. Cameron Irwin, Rich Lamborn. This is our final match here on Saturday evening in Chicago. Men's quarterfinals. Tough time the high ball.
Yeah, perfect location, right, Cam?
Yes.
But it was so high, it kind of slowed Miles' approach down a little bit. He didn't quite get the explosion he typically does.
Efficiency is starting to slip now for Paul Lotman and Miles Partain. And another error.
18-13.
So Lotman is now in negative numbers for his efficiency.
And this is very easy to say and very difficult to do when you're out there on the court, of course. But Miles and Paul, in my opinion anyways, making the right decisions, just not executing real well right now. So they've got to kind of keep their heads up, keep their confidence level high, know that they're making the right decisions, and trust that they're going to dial in that execution a little bit as this match goes on.
Yeah, and they just put Paul Lotman a little bit of a box there. If you get him to the outside, you get him pinned to that corner. So often he loves to hit hard into that angle. Has to most attackers, right? There you go, that's going to help.
Trev, the cushion of a 5-point lead gives the young kid a couple extra words on the way back to the service line. There's no off position for Trevor Crabb, right?
He's still talking. I don't think you're going to get anything back.
No, certainly not from Miles, no.
The only voice he hears is his partner's Paul Lotman. It is now set point, Bourne and Crabb. Blocked. And they're shouting, running off the court. They're feeling good. 21-14. Bourne and Crabb takes that one. The AVP is brought to you by Waikea Hawaiian Volcanic Water. Live Aloha. Drink Waikea at waikea.com. By KT Tape, helping athletes of all levels train longer and finish stronger. By Monster Hydro, hard charging hydration. And by Wedbush, your investment partner on and off the sand.
Dear Mainland, aloha. My brother and I hear lots of you have discovered a real Hawaiian favorite, Big Wave Golden Ale. That's the good kind of stuff, yeah, bro. Maybe it's the island flavor that makes each sip taste like a little vacation.
Got your beers here.
That's a whole lot of little vacations right there, huh, brother? That's like a big vacation. Retirement. One life, right? Mahalo. Big Wave Golden Ale from Kona Brewing.
It's the choices we make that define us.
Tryon Trevor is coming off a tough, heartbreaking loss.
And ultimately, the enemy is within. Some people want it, some wish for it, but others make it happen.
Tryon Trevor is super lethal, bringing fire and passion to the court.
How will you take charge?
Welcome back to the shores of Lake Michigan. On Long Lakeshore Drive, we have men's quarterfinal action, the final match here on Saturday. The Chicago Open, Lotman, Partain, Bourne and Crabb. Those are your two teams, and right now, Bourne and Crabb are playing on fire as you look at the first set stats. Cameron Owen alongside Rich Lamborn. I mean, efficiency?
Yeah, the efficiency was insane. Hopefully we didn't throw a wrench in the efficiency system of Miles and Paul, right? Because we talked about Miles leading the whole tournament.
Yeah.
And then Trevor really turned on the defensive pressure and took Miles and Paul's efficiency down to 100, which is very unusual for them. But like I said, I think they were making a lot of the correct decisions. They've just got to execute at a higher level here as we look at some of the past champions here in Chicago. 2018, 2019 looked real nice, didn't it, Cam?
Yeah, for you, that's feeling awfully nice. Of course, Taylor Crabb, the brother to Trevor Crabb, currently on the sand, who played alongside Jake Gibb, going back-to-back. There's a look at Trevor, his brother, now playing alongside Tri Bourne. At one point or another, the brothers did play together. Whether it was on the baby court or on the AVP tour, they went their separate ways. Chase alongside Casey winning the last one in 21 here in Chicago.
Yeah, it's interesting because they don't have a lot of overlapping wins, right? Trevor hasn't won here in Chicago. He'd love to get that, love to fix that situation. Taylor hasn't won in Manhattan Beach, which his brother Trevor's won 3 years successively now. So that's just kind of a random happenstance, but Trevor would certainly like to remedy that here in Chicago, one of the best stops on our whole tour.
So you talked about the wins for both of the Crabb brothers. Here's a look at the wins for this season, 2022. Andy Benish, Phil Dahlhauser. Dahlhauser goes back-to-back with a different partner in New Orleans. Then it was Kame and Theo in Hermosa. Fort Lauderdale, the guarantee, Tri Trevor. And there's another one for them in Manhattan Beach, two-time winners in 2022. And Lotman, Partain, you cannot skip over them because they were the Atlanta champions now on the sand.
Yeah, chance to make it 3 wins on the season, and they would really be running away with the Team of the Year honors. Right, were that to happen? After a little slip up in Atlanta, they've really found another gear, though. I think Manhattan obviously brings out something special in that squad in particular, and certainly in Trevor Crabb. But they're rolling into this event with that similar fire here.
Well, there's the efficiency you mentioned in terms of Lotman and Partain. Partain still hitting 357, still fair. But Lotman's got to dig himself out of a little bit of a hole now.
That's a great swing. Miles Partain challenging Tri up high. Talk about the discipline of the handwork of Tri Bourne at the net. But Miles just going, rattling the fingers up top.
Fading that ball into the corner.
Yeah, and that's just excellent footwork, not only from Tri to get all the way to that ball and put up a hittable set, but then Trevor to get inside and really maintain his posture so he can slap that over the top.
Quick set, and another ball sent past the cabanas off the hand of Miles Partain.
I mean, Miles, we talk about it a lot. He's still only 20 years old, just a prodigious talent, of course, but there's something about lefties, isn't there? I mean, just everything they do looks smoother to me.
Yeah, buddy.
Thinking about the other lefty on tour, Ed Ratledge.
Okay, well, the exception that proves the rule kind of a thing.
Known for his funky and unique style of play is Ed Ratledge.
Well, it's hard to be super smooth when your knuckles are dragging in the sand as you walk.
True. Oh, what a dish. Trevor is the call, but yeah, that's going to get called. Sorry, Tri. That's the right call.
Just hoping the up ref forgot simple arithmetic momentarily on that one.
Tri Bourne having a phenomenal match thus far. Here's a look back at this play. Nearly getting another block. He's currently 7 of 8 with 0 hitting errors, hitting .875, by far leading this crew. And that's a block. You talked about the handwork of Tri Bourne on full display in that one.
See if we get another look at this here.
You got to ask nicer than that.
May we please have another look, sir?
It's been a long day, but a great one at that here in Chicago. What a save! Paul Lotman's got to find his way back to the net. And he does! House is Tri Bourne.
This is what I like to see out of Paul, though. He gives a little extra look through the net after he gets that stuff. Sometimes he needs that little fire under him to get him going. And what an excellent layout save that was to give his team another chance. Great handwork of his own there to the line.
And I will say, Tri actually kind of went a little hats off there to Paul Lotman. He kind of gave the head nod of acknowledgement. That was a good one. You got me.
Well, yeah, I mean, Tri certainly got fire to match his partner, but he's got a little bit more of the sportsmanship side, we would say.
4-3. I think Lotman may have hit a divot there. He looked back at the sand, kind of had a funky jump. I remember one year in Chicago, we played so late into a Saturday because we had all sorts of weather and long competitions that we were playing nearly by the light of the video boards courtside, illuminating the way. Some great memories here in such a great city.
Trying to get a spotlight from the Hancock building.
Seriously. So good is correct. Again, back to his, or Cameron's favorite shot.
Yeah. We talked about his hitting efficiency, right? As we see 8 kills on 10 attempts. We've talked at length, I'm sure, at this point about him filling in for Taylor Crabb in the 2021, as it were, Olympics in Tokyo last year. Just waltzed in on short notice and led the tournament in hitting efficiency. So when he finds his groove, he's something special offensively.
Boy, now he's trying to come up with some defense in the split blocking, and that was a great set. He was beyond the net pull and still brought that back. Beautifully delivered from Trevor Crabb.
Yeah, just unbelievable.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Quick touch.
There's no way Trevor Crabb was as good in geometry class as he was in navigating the geometry of that particular play right there. Phenomenal, phenomenal set.
Another good swing. The passing for Lotman and Partain has been a little bit of an issue.
A little bit, yeah. But it should be said that the serving is putting that pressure on them on the side of Tri and Trevor. They're on the good side with the wind kind of whipping in their face, causing some gasps and shrieks from my co-commentator up here in the booth.
I just get really nervous about everyone's health. I want to make sure they are well taken care of. Paul Lotman was going full steam ahead into the net post there. 5-7 now, time to take a timeout. Let's take a look back at the Manhattan Beach Open, where those two took home the prize. This is the Manhattan Beach Open. It's time to get into our men's final. Tri and Trevor versus Kame and Theo. On one. No way out of the net. Tri Bourne. Kame looks for the sand, and instead, Tri Bourne. Now they look for a side out. Put a little extra mustard on that one as Brunner Schaub's head, 21-17. A third championship point on the line. And with the missed serve, they get it done. Your 2022 Manhattan Beach Open champions, Bourne and Crabb. They sure love those Kona brews, don't they?
Well, they're extra sweet when you've just dumped a whole handful of sand into your mouth. So that Kona brew will rinse it out nicely. One of the more unique celebrations we've ever seen, probably.
Well, you talk about unique celebrations. How about when Miles and Paul won back in Atlanta? Miles is 20 years old. He couldn't even do the cheers to the champs. He had the brew in his hand and had to hand it to his partner.
8-6, let's switch sides.
So keeping it within 2 are Lotman and Partain. You feel like they got to start making moves now.
Yeah, they're switching to the good side, though.
Yeah.
They are capable, especially Paul Lotman, of applying a lot of pressure from the service line, and they will certainly be looking to do so here.
Well, and it's hard, too. You put a ton of pressure anytime Paul Lotman is receiving serve. They're going to go at Miles Partain here, but they're trying to set themselves up for the option plays frequently, right? So imagine you're not just trying to get a good pass, you're trying to get a perfect pass in order for your setter to do something.
Well, it's a little bit of the rub of this good side with the wind into your face. It makes it more difficult to run that option play, right?
Exactly.
Because the wind's blowing it off the net.
And we saw that a couple different times in set number 1. I think if you go back to that set number 1, I even remember there were a few of the option plays that kind of hit off the edge of the top of the net on that left side and kind of trickled back over. Off the hand of Miles Partain with Crabb up there at the net. Somewhat of a result of that wind, potentially.
Yeah, when you have to push it into the wind, right, you try and give it a little extra, and it ended up being higher than maybe they were accustomed to, right? We talked about it slowing their momentum on the option approaches, so to speak.
Partain up and over, and again, this is quarterfinal action. The winner will move on to the semifinal. The loser will have to face Dahlhauser and Patterson. Oh yeah, we're definitely getting late into the tournament when the loser has to face that team.
Yeah, they had a long day today.
They
had to battle through some tough matches.
They had a couple 3-setters, I believe.
Yeah, they might have had all 3 setters.
Off the left platform. And Miles Partain continuing to level up.
Yeah, I love the poise there in the backcourt for Miles Partain. He was kind of moving to his right. That shot went to his left, and he just stopped, put out that left paw. There you go, the hop right. Beautiful control. Yeah, doing the double juke.
Moving all over the place in that backcourt. You mentioned the serve of Lotman. The ability it has to go off, especially from that side. There it is.
He'll take one of those all day, untouchable. Yeah, going back to that replay we saw of Miles hopping around in the backcourt, the thing he was doing really well is not leaning his weight one way or the other, right? Kind of keeping it centrally between his feet, even as he's moving side to side, so he can make those change of direction.
That's a great point. Originally, we're working with Crabb, one of the best defenders, not just domestically, but also internationally. Ten-all now as Lotman missed that long. Lotman playing in his 32nd career AVP tournament. And there's a change, and again, back to that option with the wind. So often, Partain had been pulling that back to the left side of the court. That time he goes to the right, and of course, it's the error into the technical timeout.
Yeah, that was an interesting choice there, right? That's maybe the only time I would question the decision-making on that play, because it was kind of backing him up, so he didn't have a lot of momentum behind that. But again, you know, their strategy is their strategy, and they've got to stick with what works for them.
We've been talking about it all weekend long because this is the final Gold Series event before we head to Phoenix. So it's time to make your Gold Series Chicago Open predictions on Bally Play's AVP Predictor Game and take your shot to win 6 VIP tickets to the championships in Phoenix. Just scan that QR code on screen, or you can, of course, also go to the URL ballyplay.com/AVP to make your winning predictions. If you predict correctly, you are winning that VIP package to the championships. It's time to get those picks in right now. We can't wait to see you in Phoenix. So you see the efficiencies on screen, -375 and Partain. You would maybe wonder if you're sitting back at home, well, why would you go at Miles Partain when he's hitting that well? Now they go back to Lotman. Yeah! Potentially, I'm assuming, to try and negate some of the option play.
That would be my guess. There's a little bit of a wind issue too. You know, we've talked about it kind of blowing in the faces of where Tri and Trevor are currently, but it's also coming across the court a little bit, right? And so when Paul and Miles are on that side, easier to set that left-sided player because the set blows in his direction, right? So I would expect to see more serves going to Lotman on this side. And then, you know, we call it the ocean side in California. It's going to be the lake side here. The lakeside player getting the majority of the serves oftentimes.
It looks like Miles might do that from this side as he goes to Trevor. Completely cross court, about as far as he could get in terms of the corner of the court.
And this is a little bit of what we saw in set 1, right? Miles and Paul have to be careful and kind of batten down the hatches here a little bit as they're having a couple errors creep in here and there, and you can't let that happen. Certainly not for very long against a team as polished as Tri and Trevor.
It's a nice platform. Getting a little extra help and maybe some luck there as Paul Lotman. That nearly bounced out of bounds.
Nearly bounced out of bounds, yeah. But that's also known as in the court. They say there's no pictures on the scorecard, right?
Yeah, exactly. What a set. What a block! And I will say this, it's 13-all. The number of times I have watched Miles Partain and Paul Lotman start to turn points from the block of Lotman and the defensive play of Miles Partain, things very much start to switch in terms of momentum their direction. We'll see if that's going to be the equation now.
Yeah, and I harp on this a lot. It's probably annoying you at this point, but after you
know what you're going to say.
After you stuff Trev, you got to go back to him there, right? You got to go back to him.
Serve the person who just made the error. That is Rich Lamborn's equation for success. Different set, and yeah, that one might be still bouncing.
Oh, that was just like, there was extra hang time for Miles right there, it seemed like.
You know what's so cool is with the Connexon devices, they're all wearing the track distance traveled, time, height, all that fun stuff. It also tracks their speed, and one of the really cool elements is it tracks their air time. So it's not just the vertical, but how much time they actually spend in the air. Andy Benish was at the top of the list through all the Gold Series events. He's already 6'7". That one surprised me a little bit. Sander also up there. And Trevor Crabb, get this, at one point or another has been clocked as one of the top 3 or 4 fastest on tour in terms of maybe the explosiveness from one distance to another.
Trevor Crabb?
Trevor Crabb.
Oh, I thought maybe he had his sensor attached to his mouth.
No, but it's been kind of impressive. Some of the numbers, you're like, wow, I didn't realize that. A lot of the blockers, like Brandy Wilkerson, one of the fastest as well on the women's side. Therese Cannon was also up there. I'm like wondering if it's whether they're chasing down like that second contact, right?
Right.
Where they're getting clocked at that highest speed. So much of the defense is these short bursts where you're only taking 2 or 3 steps. So again, keep that in mind.
Yeah, interesting. The time in the air and the vertical makes sense, right? Because I think that's the metric they'd use to determine that vertical jump.
Yep, exactly. Nice dig by Partain. Threading the needle. Lotman decides to stay up and block there. with Bourne about 7 feet off the net.
Yeah, I don't mind that choice, but you have to be disciplined in taking away that easy out down the line, right? That's the shortest distance Try has to get himself out of that situation. You got to be able to close that because your partner has no chance behind you.
Good lift from Partain. Oh! Looked like just a little bit of a mishit there.
Just slightly underneath the ball, perhaps.
Partain, 17 kills on 30 attempts. Make it 31 with 7 errors.
Wow. That seemed tight. We always say you want decisiveness and you want consistency from the up refs on those hand setting calls. I'm not entirely sure we've gotten that here.
That'll stop a 3-0 run, 16, looking at 18.
Still a 2-point game. Every quarterfinal to this point has gone 3.
You trying to do the reverse jinx or what?
I'm trying. But it's been a great day of volleyball, so you can't really complain. You gotta ask for more. Right spot, right time. Try Bourne. He lost his hat, but can he find another dig?
That is out
And it's out of bounds.
17-18.
Wow, what a play all the way around there.
One-point game on the switch. Try and Trevor, more importantly, on the good side. The efficiency is 389, 214. Again, this is the quarterfinal, which means both of these two teams have had 2 wins to get to this point. They had to wait all day to get to this match. The loser will have a shot to come back tomorrow morning. The winner moves on to the semifinals.
2 with 2 to go here in set number 2. Trevor to serve.
Yeah, Paul kicking himself there just a little bit because that was his call, I'm pretty sure. Let Trev slip out of that one.
Yeah, he just looked over at Miles and said, my fault.
Yeah. I feel like Julia Roberts and Pretty Woman, slippery little suckers. Wow. How about that? Just kind of a almost accidentally off-speed serve that fell right off the table in front of Paul Lotman.
It is now match ball 2017 for Bourne and Crabb. Bourne goes to Lotman. Option, and now it's time to turn some points. Who's serving? That's the real question. Looks like, I actually can't tell at this point. They're both back there.
Miles took the ball, cleaned it off for his partner.
So from this side, we've seen Lotman go with just the standing float or small jump float. And there it is. 21-14, 21-18. This quarterfinal closes out in 2 sets.
Your reverse jinx worked. Yeah, that was just an unbelievable match from both teams, but particularly from Bourne and Crabb, who were in control seemingly from the very beginning. Just so consistent. Hard to find any cracks.
And here's a look back at the last and final point from Trevor Crabb. And you know what I liked from Try and Trevor is that they understood their opponent and how steady they are. They don't show necessarily a ton of emotion. They're not going to give you that to work off of. They knew they needed that, and it started to come on their own side. They found ways to kind of create that edge and find what they needed to, and started all the way back in set 1 to get themselves energized after a long day of waiting to play here in Chicago. Those two are moving on to the semi-final. Here's a look at your match stats. Lotman and Partain got to figure out what adjustments are needed before they can recover back in tomorrow's action.
Yeah, to me, it's all, you know, the hitting percentage disparity and then fewer errors on the side of Bourne and Crabb. Those always equal good things for your team.
Good things for the number 2 seed, Bourne, Trevor Crabb. Our updated bracket on the men's side. We've got both the Crabb brothers into the semifinals. Taylor and Taylor Crabb, Taylor Sander. We've got Bourne, Trevor Crabb. It is going to be a phenomenal Sunday here in Chicago. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll see you back on the sand.